Most overrated player. Uh, well, the most overrated players are always the ones who have the biggest fan bases. Just like I'm probably the most overrated caster in the scene for the same reason. But yeah, the most. I mean, by that for that reasoning, the most overrated players. I mean, probably Squishy.
Have a great time streaming. While I'll start my workday 3.
But yeah, it always sounds like trash talk whenever somebody asks who's the most overrated player. Whatever answer I give is going to be sound like trash talk, but it's just whoever's got the most fans is probably the most overrated. So in the way, it's like a compliment, right? That I'm say that I say he's the most overrated. Do you remember when Johnny fans had beef with Rizzo fans? I remember. I don't even remember that, man. I have no idea when that was. Explain how Squishy is. Because Squishy is probably not the best player in the world right now. And there are probably lots and lots of people who think that he is. Therefore, he's the most overrated player. If I don't know, like how if you guys realize how big, the casual fan base, the casual Rocket League esports fan base is compared to the like dedicated fan base. Rocket League esports subreddit, for example, and like the Rocket League Twitter, you know, group, and the Rocket League like daily Twitch viewer group. They're all very very small groups of people. So the opinions of those people are not an accurate representation of the wider, more casual viewing fan base, who make up, the majority of the responses for answers to these questions, such as who is the most overrated player. I'm not saying that I think Rocket League Esports overrates. I don't think Rocket League Esports subreddit would overrate Squishy the most. I don't think that the Rocket League like hardcore fan Twitch viewership people would overrate him the most. But I do think that if we're talking about the entire Rocket League fan base, which is much bigger, and especially on YouTube has so crazy numbers for Rocket League. Like hundreds of thousands of people subscribed to dozens of channels. Like that's already more people than has ever watched a Twitch stream, even twitch.tv/Rocket League at the same time. So yeah, YouTube and just like casual viewers are always going to dominate this kind of discussion. Their opinions are always going to be the most impactful. And yeah, that's why I said Magic Bear is probably underrated, because those people, the casual viewers, probably don't even know who he is. So yeah, he is definitely underrated for that reason. Do you agree that the more fans you have, the more overrated you are? Most of the time, yeah. Most of the time, the more fans you have, the more overrated you are, because more people are going to think you're the best, and you're probably not the best. In most cases, players or fans are going to be wrong about who they think is the best player. In some cases, like a player will be so obviously the best that everybody's just right about it. But in 3v3, it's so hard to know who the best player is that almost everybody who's like a fan of a really popular player and thinks they're the best player is going to be wrong. Do I see Rizzo as overrated? Yeah, for the same reason. I mean, I don't think he, like, personally, I don't think I overrate him or underrate him. I think I have a good idea of how good he is, and I think he's a very effective member of his team. Like, I don't follow the opinion of the majority, I would say. But yeah, there's probably a lot of people like Rizzo fans who think he's the best player in the world, or who think he's the best player in his team when he probably isn't either of those things. And I say probably because this is not something you can really quantify in an exact science. But yeah, for that reason, he's technically overrated in my opinion, because he'll have lots of people who are rating him higher than he probably is. It's a bit pointless though. Like, who cares? If people want to call someone the best player, like, why would you? It's like a religion almost. Like when people are saying that popular content creator, pro player, like it's always the content creator pro players who get this, and I get it as well as a content creator slash caster. uh, they're always going to be under more scrutiny, and there's going to be more like hardcore fans of that person, so they're always going to be arguing with each other. The people who don't like that, you know, that person, whether it's a content creator, a pro, or a caster, or whoever, their opinions are going to be amplified. They're going to feel so much more strongly about what they think to try and counteract all of the people that they disagree with. When really there's no point. Like what is even the point of telling? Like if somebody comes into like any public forum, whether it's YouTube comments, Twitch comments, Twitter, Reddit, doesn't matter, wherever it is, if somebody comes in and says, I think that, player A is the best player in the world, nothing that you say is going to change that person's mind. Nothing. There's literally no point disagreeing or agreeing. Unless you just want to have an argument, there's no point in telling them otherwise because they're not going to change their mind. It's like if somebody come in here and said some, political statement, you're not going to change their mind by arguing. The only people who are talking about these things are people who have already made up their mind and aren't going to change it. Now, if somebody, goes in with a different kind of question, like, hey, who do you guys think is the best player in the world? I think it could be one of these people. Like, that's a person who's wanting to start a discussion and actually talk about it. Somebody who just says, I think this player's the best in the world, and nobody's going to change that. Like, there's no point in talking to that person. They're not going to change their mind. Fortnite is one of the other controller dominant games, which means the ones that dies are going to have no other games to play that are good with controller except Rocket League, so it'll blow up as soon as Fortnite dies completely. Maybe that's why Epic bought Psyonix or bought Rocket League.